thus confess thyself to witchcraft, and that speaks a wish to come to heaven's side, and we will bless thee by sending thee to thy Lord through fire. Not gonna lie, it will hurt. It'll be a little bit extremely, blindingly excruciating for a while there, but then it'll be over, and you'll be in heaven, so it all works out. Just hang in there through the unfathomable, almost incomprehensible agony. In the meantime, here's another Halloween hard sell.
And as for you, my fine lady, it's true, I can't attend you here and now as I'd like, but just try to stay out of my way. Just try. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
No joke, The Wicked Witch of the West was the first thing I remember scaring me on television. Well, apart from Channel 4. Yes, thank you. It was a showing of the film on BBC One in 1986, so I was 3. And Margaret Hamilton explicitly threatening murder was the first on-screen thing I actually feared on anything approaching an intellectual level, rather than the instinctual terror I had of Channel 4 yelling at me like I'd taken a shit in its kitchen for no reason at all. In previous years, we've looked at umpires and the Frankenstein K. Monsterman. This year's trope, you may have guessed, is witches and such. A reliable standard of evil, of course, a crone in a pointy hat on a broomstick wielding godlike powers to destroy you, or at the very least transform you into pond life. Existing at the intersection of misogyny and fire and brimstone religion, they've gone from Satan-affiliated scapegoats through the smoothing out of grim folk tales into largely secular monsters of anti-femininity, and otherwise random inhabitants of the musty attic that is the collective subconscious's semiotic clutter. So much for the Roland Barthes Late Show stuff, though. Let's look at some adverts with witches in. There's more than one type of witch, of course.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
Oh, cork it, lady, the jury's still out on you. The first thing a witch is, like vampires, Frankensteins, werewolves and all the rest, is an idea. One that's been reduced over centuries to a set of signifiers, just like all old ideas. Images that settle deeper in the consciousness and become pure communication in themselves. In this case, a black cloak, conical hat, broomstick. To say witch at a glance, you need some combination of these, or for preference, all three. Not wicked witch, necessarily, just the basic, generic idea of a witch. Hat, coat, broomstick, witch. Be a nice witch, like Meg or the scary godmother, but instantly recognisable as a witch, with little or no mental processes necessary on the viewer's part. Pointy hat, broomstick, black garb, the message is sent. You don't even need the whole body. Look at this thing. Yep, that's a nose. A nose on a broomstick with a pointy hat. It is, therefore, also a witch. Stick that costume on anything, a tray table, a bit of old inner tube. You immediately invest it with a basic personality. Just a hat would do. Pointy hat makes you think witch involuntarily. And that's the power of the icon.
Soothe your sore nose with a touch of balm. Kleenex Balsam, our most soothing tissue.
By contrast, they go for a slightly more specific look to suggest fairy at the end there. Specifically Disney's Tinkerbell, with the tight green dress and all. Not that the idea of fairy doesn't have an iconic look of its own. Fluffy white dress, gossamer wings, lots of sparkles, probably would have done it. But maybe they thought that since all they had to work with here was a giant nose, it was best to err on the side of caution and rip off Disney as much as possible. So sometimes the basic iconography is enough if all you want is the idea of a witch. But quite often you need an actual character as well, and then you have to go deeper. The classic witch, of course, is the type exemplified by Witch Hazel here. Or Margaret Hamilton, for that matter. You could rattle off the list of attributes yourself. Wizened crone, sometimes green, or pointy features and pointier voice, and of course the black cloak, conical hat, broomstick and all that good stuff. Quite often plus the optional semiotic accessories like a black cat and a massive cauldron. That basic image established, what to do with it? Well, you don't usually play it too straight, because that's just not an interesting thing to do, unless you've got some other imagery to help with the heavy lifting. And this is where Wizard of Oz and Margaret Hamilton come in handy.
Still going. Long-lasting Energizer batteries keep going.
L. Frank Baum being out of copyright comes in even handier, of course. That and American parody laws. Failing that, and even not failing that, the obvious thing to do is subvert the imagery. It's funnier, it makes you look and the viewer feel cleverer, and it's more likely to make for a memorable 30 to 60 second advertorial spot. Let's look at that nose thing again. She's, and let's assume it's a female nose, she's zooming through a forest, somewhere a witch is considered likely to be found. Where isn't she likely to be found? In a modern-day home or apartment. And as you can imagine, that's been done.
She wanted a roommate who could help with the cooking.
But she wanted someone who loves cats. So we got Griswolda.
Dinner's almost ready.
This one's from last year and for Geico Insurance, and it's really going all in on the traditional witch imagery. Surprisingly, she doesn't have the hat, but she has everything else and more. Black cats everywhere, bubbling cauldron, sharp features, one eye, face full of beauty warts.
But one thing we could both agree on was getting Geico to help with our renter's insurance.
Yeah, switching and saving was really easy.
Yeah. Taste. Drink it all up.
This is a case where the iconography, which with the nose thing was enough on its own, is almost superfluous. The makeup, the hair, and especially the performance sell the idea of witch quite adequately without any need for the cloak and the cauldron and the hey-hey. Not that it would have been as good without them. Stick her in a t-shirt and jeans, but keep the makeup and performance, you'd figure out she was a witch soon enough. But it would take a second or two longer for the viewer to get up to speed, and adverts don't have that kind of time. It's all about immediate imagery. Besides, going the whole hog the way they have makes her more incongruous and therefore funnier and more memorable. All this effort might possibly be an attempt to cover up the fact that the premise makes very little sense, if any, and none of this has anything to do with insurance either way.
Good.
Could use a little salt. Just a bit.
And this whole element, I'm pretty sure, was just thrown in as someone's fetish.
You feeling okay, Megan?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Why are you looking at me like that?
Megan,
Yeah?
you sure you're okay? You sure you're okay?
Visit geico.com and see how easy saving on renter's insurance can be.
A step down from there, in its use of witchy symbology, we find this Skittles advert, also from last Halloween.
You have any more Skittles?
No, I don't have any more Skittles.
Can you get any more?
No, I can't get any more.
This witch is mostly just an old woman in the appropriate costume, with a minimum of makeup. She's not the incongruous element here, you see, or at least not the main one. The guy from Stranger Things is.
Why not? Aren't you a magic?
Will you please leave?
But you told me that when I came here, that I could have all the Skittles I wanted.
Get out of my house!
It's mostly a fairly standard, if deliberately absurdist setup, with some nice attention to detail, the witch's bottles of pills, for instance, and this weirdly meta bit in the middle.
Have you seen that Skittles commercial with the witch?
Yes, eat, my boy, but leave room for regret, for life is an unending cycle of disappointment.
Regret the rainbow, taste the rainbow.
Oh, that's not as good as I remember.
I don't really get what they're going for here, except to underline Stranger Things guy's general Napoleon Dynamite style spaciness. And I'm fairly certain I'm missing some context, and I'm even more certain that there's very little point in understanding it anyway.
Please get out of my house.
Can I have some more Skittles?
Annoy the rainbow! Taste the rainbow!
Witches in normal everyday settings, though. Suburban ones in particular. There's an archetype for that too. Good God, I'd forgotten how adorable Elizabeth Montgomery was.
You're a witch.
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Anyway, yes, Samantha here is the exception to the rule. She's a witch absent the usual trappings. Well, usually. Darren even comments on it in the pilot.
Okay, if you're a witch, where's your black hat and broom, and how come you're out when it isn't even Halloween?
Mother was right. You're prejudiced.
She's an archetype unto herself. The sexy but housewifely modern suburban woman who also is a witch, or other supernatural being. She even created her own icon with the nose thing. What is it with noses? Bewitched didn't invent the idea of an attractive, benevolent suburban witch. It's one of those ideas so obvious on a certain level it practically invents itself. Mary Poppins came out around the same time, although she goes a few steps beyond witchcraft into something more iconoclastic and arguably mythic. But Bewitched codified it. Take Wanda here.
Here comes Wanda, the wonderful witch.
Hi, I'm Wanda. Come on.
I'm pretty sure she predates Bewitched by at least a couple of years, but she's basically the same general idea, not yet freed of some of the necessary trappings. Most notably the outfit, albeit with a modish and more upbeat styling, but also the Gothic staircase at the beginning, because witches live in castles, or mansions at the very least, and of course the ludicrously ornate magic mirror.
I have some bewitching news for you. About hidden magic, a wizardly new hairspray from Procter & Gamble. It holds yet loves to be combed. The spray I used before was so stiff I couldn't comb. But hidden magic has an exclusive holding ingredient, Flexinol. It holds a soft, flexible way. So, if your hair gets mussed, it combs right back. Like magic. Do try it. The hairspray with Flexinol. New hidden magic. It holds and holds, yet loves to be combed. Regular or extra control. Hidden magic.
Thanks to Elizabeth Montgomery, a whole new world of possibilities was opened up for advertising.
Oh, what a horrid sight. Still, ketchup, wine and gravy gruesomeness can disappear with Vanish Soaker. After a soak and a wash, oh my gosh, a result! Vanish Soaker for stains and spots and other blots.
Any woman could be a witch as long as they could move their nose in the appropriate manner. Which is why the trope died down a little in the age of Botox. And of course from sexy wifey witch it's a short step to the sexy dangerous type, where we cross-pollinate with Greek myth, so we end up with occultish sultry sirens who mean nothing but harm to anyone crossing their path equipped with a penis. This trope can easily be out-and-out misogynistic, of course, when it overlaps with succubus territory. But as it turns out, that sort of thing is of surprisingly little use for selling products, especially to women. Go figure. And it's better deployed in the service of a hotness as power narrative, as in this famous and eerie cinema ad.
There were 7 of us. Thousands have tried before. This is where they left their bones. We knew what was waiting. We knew what was waiting for us.
Not exactly typical advertising copy, or imagery for that matter, but then this was written by Asia Wevel, the woman for whom Ted Hughes left Sylvia Plath. She, incidentally, also killed herself. At some point you've got to start wondering if it's you. Anyway.
The sea witches. The Greeks knew about them. The faces of mortal women. But their hair is legend. Was this the real location of Eden? Were these the vanished descendants of Eve? There were 7 of us. Men with no hope, only courage.
This is a justly famous advert and like nothing else around at the time being 1965. Legend has it was applauded in the cinemas. Not bad for a film with the voice of the speaking clock that ends with the word 11pence.
This is what we were after. The hair colors of Sea Witch. Semi-permanent, simple to use. 12 colors. There's one for you. At your chemist. 4 and 11pence.
Well, you should be just about done to a turn by now. I hope you've enjoyed this little seminar on the semiotics of witches while your tissues were charred to black carbon, and if you didn't, well, there's not an awful lot to be done about that now. As for Margaret Hamilton, she ended up advertising coffee with David Caruso. So rehabilitation is still possible. Well, maybe not for you. Wish I had a marshmallow on a stick prop in this program. Oh well. Happy Halloween.
You got to pick up every stitch. Do rabbits running in the ditch. Oh no, must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch, yeah. Must be the season of the witch. Where'd I go?
You've been watching a Bob the Fish production. Thanks! If you haven't found it already, be sure to check out our website at bobthefish.org.uk. Literally hundreds of videos not unlike this one that will make you laugh, think and realise new things or your money back. Which works out great because they're all absolutely free. All of this is possible thanks to the not unique way that Bob the Fish productions are paid for by you, the viewing public, via Patreon. For a donation of as little as £1 a month, not only do you ensure that I still have food and shelter so I can carry on making these programmes, but you could become eligible for a whole host of cool extras. New video essays, special event live streams, all my content a week in advance, and my book on the history of the BBC, Rule the Waves, chapter by chapter as it's written. And some cake, if you go out and buy a cake and eat it while you're watching. And if you don't want to support on a monthly basis, you can make a one-off donation via Coffee. It all helps stave off scurvy. bobthefish.org.uk. You make it what it is.